Hello, my name is Fiskluckers and welcome to another quick tank review, and today we will be looking at the Scorpion on Armored Warfare. So the Scorpion is a light tank at tier 3 which has 1015 hit points, which is a fairly good amount of hit points. It's a slivering over the tier 3 average. Now, its armor profile is non-existent. It pretty much doesn't have any armor at all, no protection from anything. So, don't rely on that. Even HE will pretty much penetrate you from the hull and from the turret as well. Now, mobility-wise, 61.2 kilometers per hour speed limit, which is okay. At tier 3 it's not that great, because if you think about it, the Leopard 1, which is a main battle tank, has a 64.8 kilometers top speed. So pretty much because there are 3 armored fighting vehicles and 2 really fast tank destroyers, the average top speed is 68.58 kilometers per hour, leaving the Scorpion quite a bit behind with its 61 kilometers per hour top speed. Now, its acceleration though is pretty darn good. It takes only 3.6 seconds to accelerate from 0 to 35 kilometers per hour, and the average on tier 3 is 5.19 seconds, so it is reasonably fast to accelerate. Now, if you compare it to the armored fighting vehicles, it's nothing special. Now, because the armored fighting vehicles all have under 3 seconds, so it's not like a speed demon, but it's quite fast to accelerate. So now the overall mobility is like good-ish. It's not extremely fast when going full throttle. It's like fast to accelerate, but it's not like super good. It's also, the traverse is okay, so it's like good-ish. It's not like super good, but it's good-ish. Now, view range is the worst of its tier. 333 meters is horrendously bad. It's horrific. Now, if you compare it to the armored fighting vehicles, it's even worse news. All the armored fighting vehicles have more than 450 meters. You have just over 100 meters worse view range. And the camo, while being better than the tier 3 average, which is 0.22, you have 0.3. But again, if you compare it to the armored fighting vehicles, it's being left behind. But let's face it, the armored fighting vehicles in general are stealthy and have a very good view range. But it's, maybe it's because I'm comparing it in my mind a little bit to light tanks in World of Tanks, but I feel like the Scorpion's life is a bit of its speed and its stealthiness, but it doesn't too much. But it doesn't have those too much. But surely it has to have a great gun in comparison to the armored fighting vehicles, though. Well, that's, I think, a little bit controversial, because its gun only shoots HE, so its damage will vary wildly. Sometimes you do almost 400 damage when shooting on an engine deck of a vehicle that doesn't have a lot of armor on the engine deck. Sometimes you do 20 damage. It's really big roll of the dice, and also knowing where to place your shots. Now, the rate of fire is not very good. 9 rounds per minute, so its reload is 6.67. seconds.
Access to hard drive remotely,
While
but
it
need
doesn't
time to
sound
download the
a
intel.
long time, in this
Identify
low
target.
tier,
Hostile PC.
main battle
Target
tanks
hit.
does have quite similar reload times, and they do penetrate with
down.
almost every shot and also make that around 300 damage.
Up.
So you gotta watch out for that. Now
Doesn't look like
accuracy
anyone's still alive in there.
0.15.
Identify.
It's
Hostile
not that
PC.
bad. It's right in the
Watch out,
middle of the tier
incoming.
3s. Now aiming time is pretty long because
Ammo up.
it's kind of a derp
Direct
gun in the sense. 3.2 seconds, which is 0.3 seconds longer than the tier 3 average. But it's not that big of a deal because you do have quite long reload, so halfway through your reload you can start aiming. It does make it hard to poke around a corner and place a shot and go away. Now the turret traverse speed is 45.9 degrees per second, which is more than good enough. It's really rare that you do not have your turret pointed at the right direction because it just simply turns so fast. So that is no problem. Gun depression 10 degrees at the front, 6 degrees at the rear. So its gun depression is very generous. 6 degrees at the rear is it's 2 degrees more than the tier 3 average, and the 10 degrees at the front is almost 2 degrees better than the tier 3 average. So to summarize, the Scorpion light tank, it is a tank that is very situational. If the matchmaker throws you into a match with pretty much only main battle tanks, you're screwed because you cannot be the spotter,
Ammo up.
and you cannot deal with heavily armored opponents, at least head on. And
Incoming! Nailed them.
at the same time, you don't have any armor, so all vehicles that pretty much have
Incoming
low
order.
penetrating guns and massive amounts of DPM will tear you to shreds easily.
Hit us
It
hard.
happens countless times when you have an XM800T just rush you and unload a whole clip to you. You cannot one-shot him, you cannot two-shot him. If you are extremely lucky, you might three-shot him. But the XM800T, if he jumps on you, it's got 23 alpha damage with 45 rounds in a single clip. Now
Identify.
that makes a total of 1035 average damage on a single clip. Now it is quite hard to empty a whole magazine so that every single shot hits, but think of it that if you are really knife fighting close on, you will die in a single clip.
Black Company, take that refinery before it explodes.
So it is very brutal to drive this tank around. So you kinda have to be assassin, but you cannot rely on yourself to spot. So pretty much you're assisting assassin. It's pretty much just
Penetrated.
a decently mobile assistant tank. So you will always pretty much do some damage with your HE ammo, but you won't most likely do a lot. But you are a really big bane of tank destroyers and artillery and armored fighting vehicles and other Scorpions and maybe Leopard 1s. And if you get the rear of the other main battle tanks, you are really going to bring hurt. And the Scorpion does make quite a lot of module damage, making it a pain for the enemy tanks to recover from your shots. So I don't know if I like it or not. I personally kinda... When it works, it really works, but when it doesn't, it really doesn't. So I think it's kinda balanced in the sense that you can't really solo in the thing, but it's kinda frustrating at the same time because you can't solo with it. Now, if I would have the option to choose an armored fighting vehicle or Scorpion, I would most likely choose the armored fighting vehicle, because neither of them have any armor. The armored fighting vehicles are a bit faster most of the time. They are better at accelerating, have massively better view range, have the same or better camo rating, and the guns I feel are also better in the armored fighting vehicles. Now you do get the engine boost ability with the Scorpion, which pretty much means that for 5 seconds you will increase your speed drastically, which makes it easy to escape from situations
Direct hit.
if you get suddenly spotted or someone surprises you. So that's a nice ace on the sleeve. But considering you could also mark the target with the armored fighting vehicles, I don't know. Depends on on the situation. So the Scorpion, not a tank that I would hugely recommend, but something that leads to a line of great tanks. So why not give it a shot? It's pretty easy to get it at the end. So I hope you have enjoyed this quick review of the Scorpion. Do share your thoughts on the comments, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.
Identify target. Hostile tank. Direct hit. Target down.
Great job, Black Company. The refinery is under our control and the explosives have been disabled.